Hello, my loves. Hello. Welcome to this week's energy update for August 2021. I'm not going to give specific dates, but today is August 23rd for anyone who's watching the replay. And we got a lot to talk about. So as you are joining, say hello. If you are catching the replay, hashtag it replay. Let me know where you're watching from. I always get tickled to see all the different places that people tune in from and how freaking cool it is that we can just come together in this way. For those who are new to me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel teacher and healer, and I'm really focused, especially this moment on about helping you become the master craftsman of your reality so that you can sustain new earth and live multidimensionally, which is something that we will lightly touch on today during this broadcast. And I didn't know I was going to do this until right before as I was preparing. I've been getting downloads for the past 3 days for this week, really for the next 6 months, to be honest. But before, about an hour ago, I decided to meditate before coming on here. And I received some pretty big codes and activations that will be passed through as a frequency under my voice. And we're also going to do a meditation at the end. It will be very short, but it's going to really help strengthen your column of light. So at the end of this broadcast, we will be doing that. So please stay tuned for the end. If you are driving, it is not suggested that you do it or even listen to it, because sometimes the frequencies can get quite high when we do these. So if you are driving and listening, which sometimes people do, it's time for meditation, attunement, I would suggest turning it off. Hello, Salim, Shelly, Ashley. Hello, everybody. If you feel called, please give this broadcast a share, or you can click the link and show your appreciation for the book. There we go. Okay, let's see. If anybody is still on the YouTube, Facebook broadcast, can you guys let me know that you are here? We lost internet for just a moment. And so I just want to make sure if you guys can send some hearts or if you can comment, that would actually be better because that's all I can see is comments. So if you guys can comment and let me know that you are still with me, and I don't want to start a new broadcast if I don't have to. Hello from Michigan. Hello from Norway. It's live again. Thank you, Tanya. I'm like, oh, my whole internet completely went offline. I was like, what kind of timing is this shit? Yay. All right. So I have no idea where I was. So we're not going to start completely over, but we're going to dive into the energy for this week. The energy is super intense today, but in a really good way. It's not like at least the way that I'm experiencing it. Oops, I got to not cover my other mic. The way that I'm experiencing it and the way that I'm being guided to share about at least for the first part of this week, I would say the shift might come towards later in the end of the week where it might feel a little bit uncomfortable. But the first part of this week is going to feel pretty amazing on a personal level. Okay. What we experience collectively and what we see collectively might be a little bit different. And that's really what I want to focus on today is what we can expect to see stepping into New Earth. Because as I mentioned in the previous broadcasts over the last few weeks, that we have reached a new base frequency collectively. Now, I've said this several times, and I'm going to say it several more times because we are going to gradually increase. So a lot of you guys, in fact, I used to have a show with a co-host, Tanya Lee, who's actually on my broadcast right now, called The Breakdown. And we actually met with a gentleman who talked about the solar flash. And what the guides have been saying is they don't see that happening, okay? They see this being just as what's been happening, which is a gradual, because there's been ETs have come in and have really helped protect the earth from that happening. Okay. So what's going to happen is what's been happening, which is going to be a gradual increase of the base frequency of Gaia. We have officially stepped into new earth. But what's very interesting is the guides have been talking about this in a way it's pretty cool, actually. So they've been talking about the fact that the new earth frequencies are here. Okay. But they're very malleable right now. They're very malleable. And what does that mean? It means that while the energy is here, we get to shape it. We get to decide how we want this energy to look, to bring it into manifest. Okay. So anytime you're wanting to manifest something, right? It's about sustaining the frequency of that in which you want to see in your reality. This is why I'm always saying that you have to be the change, right? So if you want a new vehicle or you want a lot of money, the frequency that you're most likely looking for is freedom, right? The reason why you want a new vehicle is so you can go places, right? That's freedom. And the reason why you want more money is so you can buy and do the things that you want to experience. That's freedom. So what you have to work on is focusing all of your attention on what it feels like to be free inside of your being. And you can simply do that by asking yourself several times a day, just closing your eyes, taking some deep breaths, and just asking yourself, asking your body, right? What would it feel like if I was free? What would it feel like if I was sovereign? What would it feel like if I was abundant? What would it feel like if I was well? And just notice how your body shifts because your body's going to show you what that feels like. And then you want to focus your attention and energy on that feeling and doing things that invoke or invite that feeling into your life. No matter what you have the ability to access those frequencies. Because true strength, true freedom, all of those things are within ourselves. We have to embody and be able to sustain the new frequencies. And so with the new earth frequencies being here, this is what we are calling the new show. Okay. And it's really a continuation of the old show, but The difference is the veil is pretty much gone. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of times people think that the veil is a curtain, but really it's a belief system. But the belief system is really in what we're going to call the dark, or the people who have an agenda. You call them the deep state, you call them the cabal, call them whatever you want. But you see that veil is gone, that they have any type of real hold or power over the world. It's just not there anymore. Transparency is really what's about to go down, like true transparency. Things are going, communication, um, and the truth. Like yesterday, I was just telling Tanya how yesterday I had these major throat chakra activations and massive throat chakra changes in my throat. I was coughing, I was clearing, I was moving, and I just kept hearing, like, truth is being revealed. Truth is being revealed. It's time for us to step up, stand in our power, stand in our sovereignty, and command and speak exactly what it is that we want to see in this world. We have to shape these new energies, these new frequencies into what we want it to be. And the best way to do that is by, again, focusing your attention and sharing what it is that you want to see. It's also about speaking your truth, because there's a lot of energy of persecution that's being cleared with that throat chakra activation yesterday. There is a lot of persecution energy, right? And what is persecution? It's judgment. It's judgment. It's somebody making a judgment and saying that that is a definitive meaning of you or your reality or what's happening in the world. And we are being asked, and if you guys listen to any of my past broadcasts for probably the last 2 months, at least the last month for sure, I have been talking about the fact that the guides are continuously saying we need to step into acceptance, which is not agreement, which is the opposite of judgment. Because if we're judging something, there is a fear, because otherwise you wouldn't be judging it. And they show this like when you're in the flow. So think about when you're having the most amazing day, like everything's going smoothly. It's just like boom, 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 boom. You're just flowing through life. Life is amazing. And you're like, God, today was so easy. It was so effortless. You didn't stop to judge and criticize every little thing that went wrong. You didn't stop to judge somebody. You probably didn't even see the people that you would judge, right? You weren't looking at anyone or criticizing anyone. You probably didn't even see them because you were in your heart space. When you are in the flow, when you are in the frequencies of the heart, you are just moving forward. Everything is just fluid. But the minute you step into resistance or judgment, it's because there's something that you don't want to experience. So a lot of times people think, oh, well, I'm not in fear, because they're thinking that fear is some intense feeling. And it is like that sometimes. But most of the fear that's running is a subconscious undercurrent. And we express that through resistance, through control, through judgment, through trying to prove ourselves, prove our point, prove our belief. But the truth is if you want freedom in this world, if you believe that you are sovereign being and you believe that freedom is what we all should have, that means that we each have the ability to choose what is right for us without judgment, and to accept what is happening in the world without agreement. Acceptance, and I've said this a lot, but I'm going to keep reiterating myself. We can't receive what's next until we accept what is, right? It's no different than if I was to hand you a $100 bill. In order for you to receive that $100 bill, you have to open your hand, which is letting go of control, and accept that $100 bill. In order for us to receive the solutions to what we deem the problems that we're currently facing, we have to accept that what is, say, I don't agree with it, and share what it is that you do want to see. If you find yourself, and listen, please, I am not judging you. You do whatever it is you feel called to do, but do it from a place of love. Do it from a place of love, not fear. So if you are going to post and share what you see is wrong with the world, I want you to ask yourself, why do you want to do that? Are you wanting to do that because you want to prove your theory? You want to prove that your side of the fence is correct, to because you're in fear of the consequences if people don't do or believe what you want or believe? Really check in with yourself. And I am not going to pretend that I am perfect here, because I am not either. I have had moments where I have stepped into fear over the past few weeks, especially with the kids going back to school and how they are, the restrictions are feeling like they're ramping up, and we feel it collectively. We feel that there's something big coming, right? So even I have felt that collective fear and my own personal fear, and I had to be checked. I had to check myself and say, why am I saying this, doing this, wanting to share this? And it all came back to fear. It was fear, because if this person doesn't know, if they do this, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, which means I'll feel this, which means I'll be responsible for this, which means I'll have to clean up this. It's always a consequence or an experience that we don't want to feel. So really check in with yourself as to what you're sharing on social media, what you're sharing with your friends and family, and where you're coming from, right? So whatever it is you feel called to do, just try to do it from a heart-centered place, which means that you're doing it from the energy of love, not fear. So that's going to require you to have pretty good discernment and really be able to check in with your body and with your energy. The collective has been really feeling, when I tapped into the collective, I've really been feeling a lot of energy around mortality, integrity, and purpose. The purpose is there's so many people who feel like there's a bigger purpose for them to step into, that there's something that they're supposed to be doing. And sometimes we can get that energy cross and we feel revolution, or we feel like we have to fight against. And it really isn't about that. It's really about stepping into being the leader. It's stepping into being the change, being the light, and not buckling or caving under the pressure or the fear that's going to be being imposed. Okay. Because the very first half of this new show, right? By the end of the year, this world is going to look very different. It really is. But the first few months of it, it's going to get a little intense. It may get a little darker. It may seem like it's more restrictive. It may seem like things are getting worse. But what they want you to know is, if you can observe from a place of totality, seeing it through the eyes of love, you will watch and witness what you came here to, which is transformation. You're going to watch the world transform from a very dense, heavy, dark place to a very light, beautiful, free place. It's going to take more than 6 months for all of this to shake out. We know that this is going to be a complete rebuilding process. Again, the frequencies of the new earth are very malleable right now. So it's up to us, each and every one of us, whether you're doing it from just being a mother or father or a friend or a person, and just a person in the world. You can be the change. You don't have to be someone like me. You don't have to be an activist. You don't have to be anybody huge in the world. Every single person contributes to the whole by what they do behind their closed doors, how they think, how they speak, how they deal with their emotions, how they behave. It's every single person has something to add to this world and is a contribution. So we each have to come together and shape the world to be what it is that we want to see. So that means that each of us have to work on our own internal transformation. We have to look at where we're still in fear. So when it comes to your purpose, what you're here to be of service to of the world, that purpose doesn't have to be something really big. It can be something as small as you feel like there's something you're supposed to be doing. Work on your inner transformation. face your fears, make peace with them, sit with your emotions, live in the present. Really observe your thoughts, observe the world like it's a movie, like you're watching something. You ever look, those commercials or those scary movies where the people are like, let's hide behind the chainsaws. Like no one's going to see me there. And you know how you're like screaming at the movie, like, what are you doing, you idiot? Don't do that. I want you guys to really just observe the movie, observe the show, and be like, man, I wouldn't do that. This is what I would do. Oh, I wouldn't do that. This is what I would do. You're accepting what's happening in the movie, but you're like, if this was my show or if I was that person, this is what I would do. Go do that. Go be that. Like that, I cannot say that enough, because what you give your attention to is what is going to become true. And if we're each doing this individually, coming together, think about if the majority is focusing their attention on what they want to see and the good that they are seeing in the world, that is what we will have more of. So I shared that, I can't remember what state it is, maybe Montana. I think it's Montana, is the first state in the United States to make it law that the jab is not mandatory. That is freedom. And I shared that because that's what I want to see. I don't care if you want to get it or not. It's not my body, or your body's your body. My body's my body. I want to see freedom of choice. I want to see freedom. So that is something that I shared. And I wanted to use that as an example, because the more we share those types of things, the more we feed that energy. Whatever you're sharing, whatever you're giving your attention to is what you are feeding. This does not mean, and please do not mix my words, this does not mean that you don't acknowledge the shit show. You don't acknowledge what is happening. Acknowledge it, see it. For those who are familiar with the 4 frequencies of my purification process modality, the very first one is I see you. It is ripping the Band-Aid off. It is exposing what's there. It is saying, I see what's happening. The second one is I hear you. Because the most healing thing that we can do when we are in a vulnerable, exposed state is to hear. Hear what's happening. Hear what that person's saying. Hear what's coming up for yourself. Is to hear someone, to hear it, to listen. It's a very feminine energy, right? That's why 2 ears come together, looks like a heart, right? So see it, acknowledge this is what is happening. It is happening. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to my intuition. I'm going to listen to what this person is saying. I'm going to hear them, even if I don't agree with them. Because here's the thing. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone where it's like, it's their way or the highway? And I used to be this way, and I can call myself out. I used to be this way. I was very hard in my beliefs, and it was like, this is what it is. This is what the guides tell me. I'm not going to entertain anything else. And I felt the need to always prove myself. If you're talking to someone from that space, if that's your energy, they're not listening. They feel that resistance. So what do? They close their heart off. They're up in their head, preparing a comeback, preparing their defense, right? But if you are if you're in a space of non-judgment and you're like, I'm just going to listen to this person so I can understand where they are in their journey and what it is that they believe, that's compassion. That's understanding. When you allow someone to be where they are and understand where they are, then you allow them the opportunity to do the same. So if you want freedom in this world and you want to be a part of shaping these brand new energies into something amazing, take my words to heart. Tap into your inner children, get creative, and really focus on the beauty that's in the world. They wanted me to touch on, I know that like in Australia and some of the other countries, they're already seeing the communism, the socialism, the totalitarianism, right? Really the massive control. And they wanted me to touch on this because they are using fear as a way to not only weaken your immune system, but to weaken your free will. And they showed me Rosa Parks. And Rosa Parks spoke her truth. Rosa Parks, she knew what her line was. And when it was crossed, she said no more. And she decided to be the change. And she took a stand that day. Sorry, there's a lot of really love frequencies coming through my heart because the Pleiadians are really stepping in. So give me a second. Rosa Parks, in an act of defiance, stood her ground in her sovereignty. This is an example of being the change. She said, no more. I will not feed or contribute or be a part of this anymore. And in doing so, she lost her job. She had death threats for years. She took a huge personal risk. But in her choice to stand for freedom, to stand for sovereignty, she changed what was into what is. And we each have the ability to do that now. Do you see? So I know a lot of you are facing job loss. I know a lot of you are facing being disowned from your families or losing friendships, relationships. You feel the risk inherently in your system. What is your line? What line has to be crossed for you personally before you will say, you know what, I will risk losing my job. I will trust that the universe will support me, that a new opportunity will come in, whatever it is. What is your line? Know it. Really tap into it. What is it going to take for you? Because this is part of what's going to be happening in the first part of this new show. We are going to be pressurized, just really pushing it to the surface. And as I say all the time, the more intense it gets, the closer it's getting to our heart, right? The more light is shining, the more darkness we see. That's why I love the analogy of the dimmer switch, because it's so true. When you clean your house and then someone hits that dimmer switch and turns that light up a little bit, we're like, oh, we missed some spots, right? There's dirt that was always there that we didn't see before. It was always there. And then we clean that up. Light turns up a little bit more. We're like, oh my God, there's even more. And we take care of that. The same thing is happening in our world. So that's something that we really wanted to bring up, because we each have the opportunity to do this. And now is the time. Like I am being guided to say, no more. This is what I stand for, and this is all I'm going to do. Some things that we can do to really navigate this week and the energy moving forward. This week, like I mentioned, the energy isn't going to be so intense. In a personal level, it's going to feel really good. It's going to, we're going to feel like we're settled, where the energies, the new frequencies are really starting to integrate. So it's really, really important that that we take this time and we enjoy and celebrate and connect with our friends and really just feel the bliss and peaceful moments and not focus on the what ifs and focus on the uncertainty that's coming. So really keep that in mind, because we are going to have these ebbs and flows of really, really integrated, comfortable energy and really like intense, just crap's being pulled up to the surface energy. And we're really going to have to flow with these ebbs and flows, surf. Okay. But some of the things that I pre-wrote down that they gave me was boundaries with gentle authority, especially when you're around your family, especially when you're around your friends or coworkers that have different belief systems. Hold the boundary. And that means speak your truth and be who you are. Okay. Speak your truth, be who you are. Don't change who you are. Don't alter how you speak or alter your truth to fit into somebody else's box so that they will accept you, so that you don't rock the boat. We're past that. The boundary is I'm going to be who I am, but I'm going to do it with gentleness. I'm going to do it in a way that can be received, that will be not from a space of defense. And when we have boundaries, that means we know who we are, we know what we believe in, we know what our lines are, we know what we won't tolerate, and we're not going to accept any less. We're not going to change who we are to please another person. Okay? To see through the lens of love, like I already talked about, and watch the world transform, and to know that strength and freedom come from within. If you see a king or a queen, or you see someone who walks into a room or a gala and they're not looking for attention, they're not trying to get attention, they're not being flashy, they're just walking in with this pose, right? This poise and this strength and this integrity. And as they walk in, everybody's attention just kind of shifts and they look at them like, who is that? We want you to own that kind of confidence in who you are, and to know that you don't have to be seen in the world to be valuable. You don't have to be seen in the world as important or an influencer or someone out there, that you are valuable because you are here. You chose to be a part of this experience. You chose to come play this game, to watch the transformation, the very transformation that is about to take place. The other thing that they really want to hit on again is a lot of people are still trying to what we call wake the sleeping. All right. So those are the ones that you want to focus on. Sorry, YouTube. I know it dropped again. That is what it means to wake the lions. When we wake the lions, we look at those who are standing on the cusp, who can hear us, who can see us, who are just not trusting what is right and what is wrong. Do I do this or do I do that? Those who are sleeping, they're in such deep denial. No matter how much you try to prove or wake them up, you're only going to drive them deeper into denial. So instead, you have to allow them to figure it out on their own. Allow them to see it for themselves. It's the only way you can break denial. So you're not going to wake anybody else up anymore. So don't waste your energy doing that. Focus on waking the other lions, the other light workers, those who you know can see you, hear you, and understand both sides. They're just teetering because they don't trust themselves enough to know what's the right decision and what's the wrong decision. It's very, very important. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any questions real quick. I think I covered everything. And again, I'm sorry for the interruptions of our internet, but it is what it is. And then we will dive into the meditation. Yeah, thank you, Tanya. I'm having so many tech difficulties today with the internet. Nancy says she appreciates this message. Hi, Laura. Just making sure that there isn't any major questions before we get into the energy. So while I'm looking through these, if you guys, I hopefully we will be able to get through the energy. The meditation without any interruptions. Listening from Northern California, North Carolina. That's where I am. Yay. Amazing. Okay. Can you go into ego versus, before you go into meditation, can you go into ego versus authentic, you creating a boundary? I'm not sure what you mean. Well, with ego versus authentic, with ego is going to be always going to be fear and control based, right? So if you're trying to control a situation, if you are trying to manipulate it to create safety within you, if you're trying to, because like that's something that I did most of my life, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys can resonate with that. I spent most of my life trying to control everything and all what people believed, what they did, everything. Controlled everything. I was a control freak. And even before I even realized there was a point where I knew I was a control freak, but I was always trying to be in other people's business. I was always trying to help other people. I was always trying to prove my point. I was always trying to do that. That's all control and fear based, right? That's no different than what is happening on the world stage right now. It just, it's the energetics is no different. It just feels a little bit, it shows up a little bit different. That's very much ego based. If you are authentic and in your boundaries, that's different. That means that you feel safe inside of yourself to believe what it is that you believe, that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone, that you don't need to make them believe what you believe, that you can just be like, cool, I accept that that's your belief. I don't choose that. This is what I choose. And you don't even need to say that. You just have to have that acknowledgement in your mind, because your ego is going to come. I mean, my ego still talks to me. It still chimes in, and I just acknowledge my ego, right? It's not about pushing it away. Your ego really is there to help you. So it's just about acknowledging, right? Seeing what your ego is doing and being like, well, that's where they are, and this is where I am, and I don't need to prove who I am. I know who I am, right? So boundaries is a definition of you, and that's always changing, by the way, right? We go through these metaphorical changes, we lose our identity and we step into a new person, and we have to form new boundaries because we're figuring out who we are again. We go through this many, many times in our life. But being authentic to you means You speaking, behaving, doing what you believe is right for you, regardless of if it makes other people uncomfortable, regardless if it's what they believe to be true. You can disagree or have different beliefs and still be friends and still be family. Your boundary is, this is who I am. If you are changing yourself, right? The chameleon energy, this is actually, I'm glad you brought this up because we're going to go into this for a second. I was a huge chameleon. I became what people wanted me to be, to fit in, to be accepted, to be loved, so that I didn't rock the boat, so that I did feel safe in my environment. When you hold boundaries, it's not changing who you are, right? You are honoring who you are and what you believe, no matter what. But again, you're doing it with gentle authority. You're not doing it from a place of having to call it out and be like, well, that's not what I believe. It's just hearing each other. And that is your opportunity to check in with yourself and saying, okay, can I reground myself? Can I find safety in my body? Do I need to exit this situation? Do I need to do something else? Right. So it's about checking in with yourself and recognizing that when you don't feel safe in your body, why don't you feel safe? Do you feel like what that person's saying is threatening you or threatening your security? Really start listening to your body when you don't feel safe. Right. And so for those that were here on YouTube and Facebook that missed that, I brought in the alligator energy because when an alligator's in water, they sense danger or a change in their environment that is dangerous or a threat in their jaw, right? That's how it tells their body that something is wrong, right? That something dangerous is coming. So this is really a beautiful time. And I've been talking about this for weeks, to really practice discernment and reading your energy and reading your body. And when you sense that things are not safe, really checking in with yourself. Is this time for me to exit this talk with these people? Is it time for me to leave this place? Um, am I feeling like I'm ready to jump out of my body and disassociate? It's an opportunity for you to use your breath and to ground and to come back into your body and to find that safety in your body. This is going to be imperative. So whether you go back through my past calls on here or classes or whatever, or find a book, I don't care how you do it. Start learning how to read your own energy and sense when your body is telling you that you don't feel safe. Because in that moment that you recognize you don't feel safe, you can then call it out and be like, oh, I'm not feeling safe right now. I'm wanting to prove, I'm wanting to fight against, I'm wanting to share the fear. I'm wanting to make people see or hear. I'm wanting people to do what I want them to do. Or, you can recognize it. You can call it out. And when you call it out, then you can listen to the reason why you're doing it. And in that moment, you can recreate that safety and love yourself through it. That is a huge message also, that I'm glad we talked about this, because we have an opportunity to heal personally our own wounds like we have never been able to heal them before, simply by doing what I just said, calling out what it is, by being in the present moment, calling it out, then listening to the stories that's attached to the sensation in our body, and holding space for ourselves and loving ourselves through it. Very, 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 very important. So however you guys want to learn that, whether it's through me or someone else, could care less. Do it. It is the very best thing that you can do for yourselves. Okay. Someone asked, how can we see our aura? That's not something I'm going to go on today. I am running the energy matrix. Today's the last day to enroll. I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you asked that, that's something we're going to dive into, reading energy in there. So that's a good place for it. This is why my jaw locks up. Yes. Yeah. When your jaw locks up, how many times? Who else has noticed that, right? When your jaw locks or your lower back locks, or you just get super anxious, or you get super munchies where you're like, oh, I got to eat, right? Or you're just like, oh my God, I'm so frazzled. My hair's on fire. I got to run around. I'm so busy. You're disassociating. You're feeling that. Okay. An attunement is aligning your energies. It's not an activation. It's just aligning what is already there. Yeah, the technical difficulties are insane. We have that was a big thing. Remember, truth, communication coming through this week. So don't be surprised if there's continuous communication issues. So while we still have a good connection, let's try to do this meditation and really open ourselves up to these energies. So if you're driving, please go ahead and close out the broadcast and come back and watch it later. For everyone else who wants to stay on, just find a comfortable space. Put my feet on the ground here. Just find a comfortable space where you can sit. If you have earbuds in, that's fine. Just try not to be in a super noisy, distracted place. Just get yourself comfortable. Sit up, lay down, whatever is comfortable for you. This is not going to be super long. Just take a couple of deep belly breaths, breathing in through the nose, allowing your belly to fully expand, and out through the mouth. Nice and slow. Let's just do that 2 more times, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, long and slow. Just really bringing these energies down a little bit. And one last time, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just notice your state of being right now. We've got a lot of high energy beings that are with me. So you may notice that you feel a little electric, or a little agitated or anxious. Just kind of the broadcast, sadly, than YouTube or anyone else. So I most likely will be uploading the TikTok replay because TikTok is the only one that seems to got it all from the beginning. So I will be uploading the replay so that you guys have the meditation. We actually had a language of light attunement that came through at the end. So I will be uploading that as well, in addition to whatever remains of this broadcast, so that you guys can go back and listen to that attunement. It really was a beautiful experiencing of strengthening our column of light with the frequencies of gold and divinity and sovereignty. It was a beautiful clearing of many karmic debts, contracts, fear, grief. It was massive. I can feel the explosion of my heart just in talking about it. So I will be uploading that so you guys have the whole thing in its entirety. And again, I'm so sorry. I cannot control technical difficulties. I've never had this many issues. I just think the frequencies are so high collectively, and what I'm bringing forth, that sometimes technology just can't keep up with these types of new frequencies. It's really challenging at times. So I'm so sorry that you guys missed that, but I will upload the live, the replay from TikTok as soon as it renders. I will upload it to YouTube and to Facebook so that you guys can have this whole broadcast without interruption. But I thank you guys for joining. This was a little bit longer than I normally go for a weekly broadcast. We have big energy, so go out there, be the change that you want to see, focus on what you want to see, speak your truth, draw your line, choose what's enough for you. When are you going to stand up and start speaking what you want to see in this world and saying no more, no more. I accept what is, but hell no I don't agree with it. So figure out what that line is for you and go out there and be the brightest light that you can be, seeing through the lens of love and knowing that what you're about to witness is going to be amazing. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.